Hey everyone, alright, it's time to give my final thoughts on the Axial SCX10 ready to run Wrangler, my budget Jeep build here. Something I want to talk about first before I get into that. I know several people have told me, and I know from listening to the videos, that there's an echo or a kind of a sound issue in here. It's very acoustic, as they say. The reason is I've got hard floors in this room, and it doesn't soak up the noise the way carpet would. And what I've got to do is get another camcorder that has a microphone input jack on it so that I can clip a microphone here on my shirt. That'll eliminate this reverberating noise that you hear when I talk. Bear with me on that. I know it's terrible. I'll try to film more outdoors, and that way it won't be as big a deal. But I've got this in here right now. I wanted to talk about this. Some of the final changes that I did, and then I've got some footage of this vehicle that I accumulated from the event, and I wanted to show you some of the highlights of how it drove. And then I'll give you my final thoughts. So I need to bring you in on this to show you some of the updates, and then I've got the footage for you. Alright, this is the final rig update here. I wanted to talk about some of the things that I had finished up on the Friday before the event. I didn't get a chance to show you on film. I worked quite a bit, obviously wiring all the electronics up, and then I worked on the tires. I did some of the scale accessories I talked about. I will show you how to make a scale toe strap, how I do it in another video. I did promise you I'd show that, and I will get to that. I did weight the tires, and I've cut the lugs up on this vehicle. Made it work a lot better, actually. I've taken and cut open the backside right at the wheel on these tires to weight the wheel, and then I have trimmed this tread. I don't know if you can see it, but I've removed every other row from the inside line on the front tires. And then I've taken every third, let me see if I can get that around there. I've skipped two, cut one, skipped two, cut one on the back. So a little bit different pattern in the rear than on the front. The front I just skip two and cut two and skip two and cut two. It actually worked really well going up, grabbing the rocks. This is far better breakup down the center line. That worked extremely well. The electronics, I bought a bigger battery than I normally would use. This is a 3800 Reedy. I think they call this a Losi size. It's a mini pack is what it is. But I built electronic shelves for this out of thick black styrene, and then set it in place, drilled the holes, countersunk them. Let me get this battery out of the way and you'll see what I'm talking about. I moved the speed control to the back. Receiver and BEC are back here. Fairly clean setup, easy to deal with. That left me enough room for my big battery up here, and as well as the winch controller and that. But I've just screwed it in place using the stock locations underneath here, and then the two here. And then back here it's screwed in. Simple, you know, easy to do. This styrene sheet is not very expensive, and it's simple to work with. You simply score it and just break it, and it just breaks right off, and then you can just drill it and put it in wherever you need it. I've always used that stuff. I could have used the stock setup, and you could figure out how to do that. Still keep the receiver box, have the speed control here, put the battery on top, but this worked out pretty well for me. So that was pretty much what I spent my day doing, is wiring this all up. And I wanted to buy this battery. Again, this is a Losi mini size battery. It's for the newer Losi 22 series cars. I've got an ulterior motive for this. I've just used sticky back foam to line this so this doesn't move, and then I use the factory strap here, kind of notch this out to give a place for the strap to stay, and this stays in really nicely. Definitely not going anywhere. So that's what I've done. That's the updates that I did. I obviously installed the 3 racing winch. I've re-spooled that. I think I mentioned that in another video. And I'll tell you some of the drawbacks that I found with this vehicle as to reason why I had the trouble I had. Namely, these tires. I mean, this is squishy, guys. The stock foams in these things give you no support at all. That presented a major problem because we do a lot of side hilling and a lot of things like that. And you've got to have your crawler planted, and you've got to have it tracking very well. And when you're coming down a hill and you turn the wheel and this tire folds over to the wheel that easily, it's just like driving on mush. It's just not, that's hard to deal with. You end up clipping gates, flipping over, having a lot of rollovers and a lot of problems because of that. So the foams definitely are something that I would recommend working on as one of the next steps. The other thing I found, because this body is a lot heavier than the traditional like honcho setup, you've got a different weight center of gravity here. This cage actually weighs more than you'd expect it to up top, and that creates a situation where the crawler is very mushy. The suspension itself I'm talking about, the shocks and the shock oil, are extremely light for this vehicle. With this added weight up here, the spare tire on the back, just the weight center on this thing is a little weird compared to a honcho, and it's like a mush basket or something. It's just really soft. I had to do some creative winching to keep this thing on a side hill because those tires would mush over like that, and then the suspension would just unload and over it'd go. And so I had to do a lot of pendulum winching where I route the winch cable, if I can get this body back on, I route that winch cable through the cage, like right here, and then when you're on the side hill, like let's say this is a side hill, it'll pull, you use the winch to suck the vehicle down on the uphill side. So if this is the uphill over here, that'll suck that down, and then you just use the winch, let out winch line as you drive, and suck it in when you need to keep the rig stable on the hill. There was a lot of lines that I were doing that I had to do that with this thing that normally I would not have had to do because my other vehicle is a lot more stable. So check out the footage and I'll see you at the end.
So how was the rock at that Miller Motorsports part?
It was decent, but there was quite a bit of snow out there, so I think it'd be a killer spot once the snow's all gone.
So what?
You're doing spaghetti bunching, huh?
You did? Way to go. Well, I'd have been
Watch your gate.
before if I wouldn't have, if I'd have remembered the bound.
Playing.
Okay, that's interesting. It's hooked on the rock.
I was like the winch line stuck on the rock.
Yeah, hopefully don't let go, huh?
Hopefully not.
I think it's coming pretty good.
So it gets hooked on the rock right now?
It's wrapped around
Yeah, it's wrapped around the bush.
Oh, up there. Perfect.
Oh, you're dead.
Where am I supposed to stand?
You're good.
That was fun.
Just like that.
So what did you think of that? Some pretty crazy winching there at the end. I had to do that a few times actually because this thing, like I said, it was just too soft. So what are my final thoughts then on a Jeep Wrangler ready to run? Let's start with the good. The good, I would say, one of the best looking scalers out there, and definitely the best looking scaler that Axial produces. And very good capability to go along with those looks. Excellent performance for what it is. Very pleased that way for a basic truck. You know, I really am. You can't do much better than an Axial SCX10. I mean, in any of its forms. And the Jeep just happens to be the coolest, I think. You know, outstanding body, the bumper systems and everything on this vehicle just looks awesome. Great electronics, great speed control. It had good control all weekend. Very, very smooth, easy to drive, not glitchy, not jumpy, simple to control. Worked very well. The servo, the electronics package in these is decent. The tires are very unique and it will afford a lot of capability because of their size. It's going to help in a lot of ways. So very, very good that way. Let's say the bad. The bad, a little bit higher center of gravity than I normally like, especially for heavy comp use. It's going to take some work to fix that. Way too soft the tire foams. Way too soft stock setup foam. And again, just kind of an off-center of gravity here. It makes for it's not quite as stable as I normally like to see. So the bottom line, a great scaler that's awesome looking, that performs very well. You really cannot go wrong, just as long as you don't mind losing to your buddy that's got a honcho.